So, thanks everyone for joining our webinar today. We're going to talk to you about capturing tribal knowledge and building your enterprise memory. So, the whole point of this is to build a system where your employees, your partners can interact with software that understands your business, reasons about your business rules, and we're going to show you how to take the first step in capturing that. So I'm Scott King. On the line with me is Chris Kraus. Hi, Chris. How are you?
Good. How you doing, Scott?
I'm doing good, given the technical difficulties on the live streaming here, but we're gonna get through it. So a little bit about our agenda today. One, Chris and I are going to talk to you about what is an enterprise brain. And why it's important, some use cases, and how you construct it. Then we're going to show you how our customer Radiant Repair uses its brain. We're going to explain the connections, some of the use cases, and then we'll show you those use cases inside Krista using the Radiant Repair environment. Then a lot of common questions that we get around the tribal knowledge and the meetings is the existing note takers. So we'll go briefly over the note taker differences, architecturally, why they are different and why they don't do why they don't build a brain. They build an individual brain, like for a person, a sales rep, but not enterprise wide. And then how to start building your brain, right? So first, Chris, let's talk about what the enterprise brain is. So yeah, this is a picture of a brain. The lobes are a little bit different, but from a systems perspective, I kind of want to walk around the circle here and describe, really what your brain does for your body and how that translates into what the brain does for your enterprise. So where
Yeah.
would you like to start?
So I would say act makes most sense to people because there's two actions that actually happen. There's the automatic actions, you breathe and you don't think about it. So there's like certain business processes that you want to always just happen, whether it's like read customer support emails and determine sentiment and that. But then there's certain times in which you act and there's a business process and you have to make very specific type of decisions on that. So how do you work on deciding? So in the frontal lobe, where we look at decisions, that's our skills, our expertise. So how do we build that skills and expertise in the enterprise brain for our software? So for our enterprise brain that we want to build that understands how our company works, what our policies are, how we do things. And so how do you decide to make things? Well, it depends on your perspective, right? Different companies run differently based on their perspective. Are they looking at service level agreements as the top priority? Is it customer satisfaction? Is it, worrying about stock levels so you have better ratios of liquidity, things like that? You have a perspective. So when you build an enterprise brain, you've done things in the past that give you perspective. What do we do when we run into a specific situation? If we have a P1 event come into the support center, do we drop all things one level? Do we actually have a P1 event and a special team work for it? What are the signals and patterns that we do? So how do you teach an enterprise brain how you run your business? Some people may say train the brain, but you are wanting it to act a very particular way. So that comes down to understanding incentives. So if you think
So
about
with that, Chris, like what about exceptions, right? So there's an exception to every rule, right? You talked about the P1. What if my number one customer is not a P1, but I need to help them outside of whatever the situation is. Like, how is that handled?
Yeah. So in that case, you may have certain things that happen with your, say, automated business process that a decision is automatically made after 2 minutes, but you give an alert to managers to say you have a bit to override and do different things. Or maybe you actually ask that question of your historical documents. What have we done in the past that was on either side of that decision to make a comparison? So you can definitely you definitely have interrupts to the automated process, like allow people to inject across there.
Okay. Okay. And then what is this what people talk about? And this is a baited question because I think I know the answer. When people say, I want my own LLM or I want my own, Gen AI thing, is this what they mean?
Well, people say that in general, but they don't really want their own LLM because building your own is, millions of dollars, and training it on, how to speak English in your business processes, that's a little bit different. This is a little more comprehensive because what you want enterprise brand that understands how you run your business historically, but then you want to be able to have decisions and act differently as your business changes. So it can't be something like an LLM you train once and then it knows how to do math. It knows how to, conjugate verbs and create sentences. It has to be something that's continuously evolving and actually changing. So the idea that we want it to work in the context of our business is right, but an LLM by itself is not the tool to do that.
Okay, perfect. So how do you build one? So we say that Krista build your brain, right? So Krista is a customer, it's a software platform that customers can use to connect their systems. They can build different automations and different capabilities. And then from a channel standpoint, we really want to meet you where you are, right? Um, and help you in the tool that you're used to using. So what are some of the pieces inside Krista that help you build the brain?
Well, part is your ability to like interact with different systems itself. So the platform needs to support connections to your systems. That could be your ticketing systems. That could be your systems of record. It could be, say, your enterprise knowledge of policies and procedures and manuals. But it also needs to understand how the current state of the business is working. So we talk about you need all the good things of security. You want to be a platform. You need to orchestrate workflows. But the trick is in the middle, we change our policies and not everything is written policy. So we need capabilities to consume knowledge. That's our written policies. Then like with meetings, as we make decisions in meetings, we need to keep track of those. So we know, well, what decision did we make? We could ask back. But then if we ask a year later, what decision would I make here? We would go look to see what are the historical decisions we've made and then use the same information. So we don't change everything every time. So there's a lot of things that have to be connected. It's not just having the infrastructure on the platform. It's how are you actually interacting with your systems, with your people. And then some people want to interact with you on a voice channel. Some people want to do it in, say, a chat channel. We actually have customers now who are interested in interacting with MCP. They're like, we want to interact with our enterprise brain, all of our enterprise knowledge through one central location, through an MCP server.
Okay, perfect, perfect. All right, so let's talk about how Radiant Repair uses their brain. So Radiant Repair is a solar engineering, solar panel technician type company. They help you install and maintain your solar panels, and they use Krista for all types of stuff, right? So they use Krista for technician scheduling, where we optimize all the work that needs to be taken place amongst the available technicians, right? So there's technician skills are a constraint, their availability are a constraint, and then geography is a constraint, right? Because Radiant Repair has customers all over the Southwest. You can only get to one place at a time. That same platform enables a technician assistant. So think about how someone may need help in a remote location, and they can talk to the enterprise brain and learn about all types of torque and specifications. Meeting knowledge is what we're going to talk about today. And then they also use it for security ops and HR. But the different systems down below are really what, are the systems of record, and the Krista platform and the enterprise brain helps people interact with those in a nice, natural language way. So, anything you want to add here, Chris, before you get started with the demo?
Nope. We'll focus on the meeting knowledge to start with.
All right. So, what Chris is going to show you, we're going to start with the an email that is a meeting summary. This is going to look familiar. And then we're going to do some risk management topic notifications. So if you could listen to these meetings and understand, like, hey, I want to find out when a meeting talks about X topic or Y topic, you can set that up as a notification. Then we'll look into Krista and review some of the meetings, and then talk about how you can customize this per your workforce, right? So not every workforce is going to want the same information, so you can completely customize how you interact with it and what Krista shows you.
Cool.
All right, Chris, I guess you're taking over, huh?
I will take over. Can you see my screen?
I got it.
Okay, cool. So I'll start where people are familiar and comfortable. The idea that, you know, electronic note takers have been around for a while, and you're used to seeing them join a meeting, transcribe things, and then they'll send you an email at the end. So in this case, this is a daily stand up. And we got an email, the takeaways, action steps, and who attended. And so this is kind of what people are used to. They're thinking, well, this is something I personally use, so I don't have to take notes and send a summary or an email out at the end of the meeting. Um, but what would happen if you actually started applying more interesting and other workflows on top of that? Like, one thing that we support out of the box is the concept of topic notifications. So for rating at repair, risk management, health and safety, HR, those guys are interested in, were there any hazards on customer site? Are there any things that we have to warn technicians about that, would risk management would be worried about, things like that. So in this case, it was discussed in the daily stand-up about some high winds and that they needed to make sure that there's no solo climbs in Reeves County and so this actually went out as it was discussed in the meeting. That single meeting of the stand-up of the text was there, but someone in risk management on the other side actually got notified of this. So they know, okay, these are things that we're talking about in the field. If someone had an on-the-job injury, they would get a proactive notification of that. We always laugh internally at Krista that we put a rule in there that says anytime someone says more than 20% discount, notify the CFO, because he wants to know if you're going to be discounting software, right? So this could be anything configurable by you based on your business itself. So we start with like what you expect, something you personally have. Now, topic notifications can expand that knowledge across the organization. And I'll switch over here so you can actually see this is the Krista meeting agent. So this is a UI we've purpose built to help manage these things. The idea is I have a calendar, and certain of my meetings are group meetings, and they could be Teams, they could be Zoom, they could be Google Meets and that. And we want the meeting agent to actually go join those. So just as there was an email sent out, you also have inside of here a summary of what's happened. This is actually the person who owns this. So they actually see the meeting itself. So they can actually copy it and they can actually set these for automatic or manual notifications on that. So these are the notifications that happen from here. The other thing we do is you can actually see here are specific action items that I have. And then these are the action items across the meeting itself. So we have some customers who say, we love these action items. Now replicate those into a Monday. So it's on our board there. So obviously we have an iPaaS, we have integration workflows, so that can happen itself. But these are things that you're getting just out of the box to actually help you not have to take notes and remember everything that happened in a meeting. And the nice thing is you can actually reference, a meeting from last week or the week before and find out details there. So, we give a salary.
So what, we're going to touch on the difference between the note takers a little bit later. But since you're talking about this, I can only imagine people are like, okay, I have, one of these note taker things and it already does this. So what's the difference you're showing here?
So the difference is we've actually can have an infinite number of post-meeting actions. They could be, you can have multiple reports to different people. You can have topic notifications if things are discussed. You can actually set triggers to say when someone says, send me the um, the mutual NDA document, if someone says that or says, we should send them the marketing information on this webinar, we can have those files sent automatically. So there's lots of post-meeting actions, like the actions past just taking notes that you can do.
Okay. Okay. No, that's cool.
Yeah. Then, of course, these transcripts, they are downloadable, so you have them if you need them. But the other thing is you can ask questions of them. So if you look at the meeting itself, you've got a summary. But if you've got something that you're interested in, like, okay, we're talking about count mismatches. So I can actually ask questions to get more specifics based instead of just having the summary. So a lot of people think, oh, let me download the transcript and I'll use it and I'll read it, things like that. Or and it just has to be close. It understands spelling mistakes.
Yeah.
So I can actually add a natural language question against this transcript. And then it actually gives me the details. Okay, it was actually the midway cellar and the copper mounted array in which they were talking about having mismatches and the number of panels themselves. So you can actually ask any question of a meeting without having to go through, like, download it, find the transcript, and look at what happened. We allow you to actually search across them. You can actually search across multiple of your meetings. In this case, I'm searching about this meeting, this one specifically, so I know what's happening here. So the idea is, even if you miss a meeting, you've got the ability to see the summary. But then if you need to know details on something, you can actually ask for more details of what happened, like list the um, scheduling issues discussed. And so instead of me combing through the transcript and saying, okay, what were the specific work orders? What were we talking about? We actually can find the details of, here's the list of what was discussed. So get the actual details of what was happened there. So this really changes the concept of I'm just getting notes taken and sending a single report to how do I actually use this as a system of knowledge that then can build on itself over time. So if you think about what actions did we take over the last year during stand-ups, we don't have to worry about, well, what did we discuss for a customer or what do we normally do? All those things, the decisions that were made in that are actually searchable. And that basically becomes, when you're thinking about the sensing and the retrieval of your data, how do we reason your data to make an action? The parts of the brain itself. So
Yeah, I think the big value is one, searching across more than just your own meetings, right? So if you
yep,
were not, if you weren't in a meeting and you have privilege to actually understand, read that content, I mean, you can get an answer to where you were completely absent. And then the action items, right? I think when the software actually acts, like, we talked about the brain,
yep,
it understands, it can act,
yep.
on behalf of the organization versus a person doing this. That's super cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And that gives you that historical perspective. What happened on Monday versus Tuesday or Wednesday, a different meeting itself.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And what else are you going to show us?
Okay. So I'll show you, like, you can see these actions, they've been built up over time. So if someone was wondering what are common actions or outcomes we have of meetings, here's 2 different meetings. They have different actions and due dates themselves. So I was going to kind of show a little bit of how we do this. So, it's not just, I'll skip the tour. I won't make you go through that. So it's not just like this is hard coded and you get it once. We do have pre-built templates because your meeting types, if it's, say, a one-on-one meeting, an internal or external meeting, you'll want to have different action items out that come out of those. Are they different reports that you want? Are they, do you actually want to log action items and such? So in this case, for my internal meeting, you can see here, this actually is something that's set up. So when I have internal meetings, I want Krista to attend. You can actually set the flag that, say, for one-on-one meetings, don't have the meeting taker attend. Those should just be private. do we have access to the post-meeting chat to search those things? And then who has visibility of those? And then the actions that they take, like for risk management. Basically, we're using AI to query the transcript to say, give me a yes or no answer. Did we talk about employee safety, injury, and job site dangers? If so, we want to send this report out to key people so they know what happened themselves. So
Okay.
there's some of these that are pre-built, but then the nice thing is you can actually build your own. So and you don't have to learn how to be a magical prompt engineer. You can actually just use the templates to build these yourself, and then you can have your own personal settings. You can decide who has access to these. Is this, I want to use this, say, for my internal meetings, so I get a different type of report because I want something specific for my team, or is this for an external meeting, say a sales meeting versus a customer support meeting? You can actually change your templates for those things, and then you'll say, how does the meeting assistant join?
Yeah, I had somebody ask me the other day about compliance meetings. Like they wanted to treat those differently. And I guess I could do that here, setting up a different template and meeting type, right?
Exactly. And then the nice thing is you say, do you want attention? Do you want to attend? Do you want post-meeting conversation processing? Do you want any type of advanced stuff like take my action items, put them on Monday? Anytime there's something, update when we discuss customers, update HubSpot or Salesforce. And then you can decide who actually can see the transcripts and the information from there. And then the last is you have an infinite number of actions. You're not just tied to, here is a meeting report, I'm done. You can have multiple meeting reports. Like I said, there's the topic notification where when certain topics are notified, we need to make sure other people are aware of them. Like if there's, say, like customer escalations or, injuries in the field, different management teams need to be aware of that. And then sending files is you can actually say, whenever something like a salesperson says, send the level 1 PowerPoint or send a white paper to the customer, we will hear that and then we'll interpret it and know which files to send back and forth. So this actually starts you a pretty easy way to automate multiple multi-step processes and actions versus just simple emails themselves.
It's like John's Star Trek, right? Do this,
Yes.
do that. Yeah, I love it. Love it.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically we get to, we try to make it pretty easy to do these things. So you don't have to be, worry about prompting errors and things like that. It's all in nice UI. And what we found is people do like that it runs in the background. And a lot of times they have everything set for automatic, but then they're like, oh, there was a meeting 3 weeks ago and I cannot remember who was in it, who actually joined, what attended. They can actually search their meeting titles and find them here and then drill right in and get details and refresh your memory what's happened. So all of these do go into the central enterprise brain. So building the brain of all the historical meetings of stand-ups, all the, customer support calls. Remember, as we capture this stuff, we will learn, if you ask a question, what happens when there's a mismatch between the panels the customer says and the panels we have? Do we just fix them or have we always fixed them and charged them? And ask, how did we answer this in all the stand-ups? So we actually learn how you run your business itself.
Yeah, and the beauty is you will, you'll learn, right? The software will learn what you're doing in these meetings and suggest to you different action items. Like, hey, everyone always asks for this. You might as well just automate it, right? Like what we do
Right.
with the documents.
Exactly.
All right. So are you done? I think you're done, right?
I'm done. Yep.
All right. So let me go back over to the beautiful presentation. So, just kind of recap what you saw, right? The email meeting summaries, topics, ask questions across any type of meeting. If you have privilege, right? If you don't have privilege,
Yep.
you won't get access to that content. That goes back to that compliance example someone asked me about, and then customize the reports and actions. So, super, super cool. What makes this different from the different note takers? So the note takers do a lot of this, right? They attend your meetings, What they don't do is, some of them record a little bit differently. Some of them record locally and upload that. Some of them record in the cloud. So that's a big difference. And that depends on if you're in the meeting, actually attending live or not. The privacy settings, the topics alerts, they don't do, and then really the actions. Actually, some of these actually will actually write to your CRM now if you pay for the enterprise license,
Mhm.
but you're still limited on how the knowledge gets built, enterprise wide. So if you want more, we have a complete article on this if you want to know the differences. But basically, the big difference is the architecture. The note takers are architected at individual user accounts, and you'll know this because like everyone that signs up like puts in their own credit card, your own account, and so searching inside of your own data is great, right? But searching across data is very, very difficult. And it's actually very difficult to get the content from several of these accounts into one place. I think they've done a good job of not letting you do that. But Krista is actually 180 degrees from that, right? So everything is recorded in one central location that enables you to build your brain. And then if you want to build your brain, so anybody that's attending this or anybody that emails us that would like to get started with this, just go to krista.ai/100. We're giving away 100 accounts to do this. Fill out the form, and then we'll provide you a secure environment where it's only your data. Then you connect to Google or Microsoft calendaring, and then you give Krista access to all your different meetings, and you'll see Krista on the call, right? Just like the other note takers. Krista announces herself and you can interact with her on the call, and you can start building your enterprise brain. So it's pretty simple. It's just a few clicks and we can get you up and running. Chris, anything else about the setup process? Did I skip anything? Is it as easy as I
Nope.
made it sound?
It's as easy as that. So we'll get the information and we'll send you a link to actually do your provisioning, and it'll set up a personal like workspace for you so no one can get to it. You'll basically give it access to connect to your calendar by logging into your calendar, and then the rest is just handled by the software.
Okay. Lots of FAQs on that landing page as well. Scroll all the way to the bottom. All the questions that everyone asks about privacy, how does it work, how long does it take, things like that are all listed down there. I'd appreciate you guys filling out the form and messaging us and getting started building your brain. So with that, we'll let you go. Sorry, we're 1 minute over, but really appreciate it, Chris. And until next time.